Hey guys, welcome back to episode number 11 for my poker vlog. This is Eric. I was back at Bestbet live for my second session on the live stream. I was definitely much more comfortable this time, and you'll see just from the action that I got into right off in the beginning. Um, it was definitely a more talkative table this time, so it was more like a home game, and I'm just out here enjoying another one of my buddy's brews from Boegan's and Castleberry. Laces Out. It's a delicious hazy IPA. And all right, let's get into the action. The first hand of note is about one orbit in to the session. I don't really have many reads on any of the players. I played with a few of them just on regular games at Best Bet. But Randall limps in, Kevin raises standard with ace king suited, and I see kings in the small blind. And I'm definitely going to re-raise here, so I went ahead and made it $70 to go, and it folded back around to Kevin. And I played with him before too. I know he's a really solid player. And on this spot, I could definitely see him re-raising with this hand, but he decided just to call in position. The flop came ace king 8, pretty perfect for my hand. I went ahead and continuation bet, down bet to 50, and to my surprise, he decided to raise this one to 150. Now, after his raise, I could definitely just ship it in here. I don't think he's going to fold, but I wanted to keep in whatever kind of possible bluffs or just a big ace he could have, so I just called. And I wasn't sure what I was going to do in the turn, to tell you the truth at this point. But when the 7 of spades came out, I thought about just lead shipping, but I wanted to check because my hand was so strong. And Kevin thought for a few and decided to ship it in himself with top 2 and a flush draw. I snap it off, and the river gets him the nut flush. And I know the commentators went pretty crazy seeing such a big cooler hand on maybe like the, I don't know, 7th hand of the stream. But, I don't think that hand would have played out any differently. Just a bad beat there. Maybe an orbit or so later, I picked up ace-9 suited in the hijack. There was an under the gun straddle to 4. So I opened to 15, which was pretty standard. And I got, I believe, 3 callers to the flop. And it was a pretty good one for me, a pair with a nut flush draw. And Justin decided to lead out this one with jack high. A gutter ball, I guess. I decided just to call. My hand's pretty strong. And Gregory, who's been playing pretty snug so far, just jams it in for 100. And I asked for a count. I believe it was 125 possibly on this one. But I have the nut flush draw, a pair. I'm pretty sure Greg has a king, but I'm not letting go of this hand. So I call it off and immediately hit the 9 on the turn. And I go ahead and just show my hand because I know I got there. And Greg didn't show his hand, but I'm sure I got a little bit lucky on that one. On to the next hand that I played of significance. Was pretty card dead for a while. And this one, I believe the card reader didn't pick up my hand, but I had ace queen offsuit, and there was also a straddle on this hand to 4. I open it to 15, get a call from Paul to my left, and then Gregory, who just got paid off on his royal flush high hand and brand new jacket, went ahead and just made it 100. And it folded back around to me. I'm not calling 100 from Gregory with ace queen. I fold, and I call his hand out loud before he even flips over pocket jacks. So that was a pretty good one. It was a nice hand. A little bit later, it folds to me. I am in the cutoff, and I decide to raise Jack 8 suited to 10. Maybe I should have learned my lesson from last vlog when I raised with Jack 8 suited in late position and lost a pretty big pot, but I didn't. So I decided to see another one. I got a couple calls, and Auburn Steve decided to lead out this one 13, and he said Dan Marino 13, and I'm a big Dolphin fan, so I was like, I'm not folding this hand with a gutter ball. I hit top pair on the turn, and he makes it 31 this time, but doesn't announce a NFL player with this one, which he's been doing with most of his bets, their jersey number. So I call top pair and gutter ball, and the river comes out, gives me the straight, and he tosses in a black chip and just says 75. And yeah, I have a straight. I'm snapping it off, see what he's got, and I know now that he had absolutely nothing. So that was a good one. Now, this next hand was pretty insignificant, but I just wanted to let the commentators know, Adonis, that card readers read this hand completely wrong. Kevin limped in with King Queen, not King Jack, and I didn't have queens. I had King Queen as well. So I made it 15, folds back around, and Kevin decides to call. I mean, meanwhile, we were having a little conversation before the hand even started, and we just continued it throughout the hand. So we played it pretty passively. He checked, and I checked it back all the way down, and we end up both showing King Queen. I know it's hard to tell from the graphics, but you can see the dealer chop the pot and give it to each of us. And I know the commentators were like, "How could Eric not bet queens? How did Kevin not bet a jack?" And it's because we both had King Queen. So just letting y'all know. Now this next hand, there's a button straddle, which Justin has been doing each orbit. It's on me, and I have 9-8 suited, and I'm opening this one up to 15. And to my surprise, Paul only calls with ace king, and get a few calls around. And the flop is pretty decent for 9-8 suited. It's 8 high with a gutter ball straight, so I lead for 30. And it folds to Auburn Steve, who likes to play any suited connectors or connector-ish hands, it seems like. And he decided to call one time. And Justin gets out of the way. The turn is a 7, and that definitely never hits my hand, so I decided to check. And Steve checks back, and the river's another 7. So I'm definitely leading here with the boat. I could have played an overpair this way, so I made it 50, and Steve actually thought for a little bit and said he knows he can see it in 15 minutes, but he wanted to see it now. So he ended up thinking for just a little while, and he eventually hems and haws and calls, and we chop the pot. Now this next hand happens immediately after the 9-8 suited hand that I chopped with Steve, and I'm in the big blind, and the table's been playing pretty limp happy at this point of the game. I feel like everyone's playing pretty comfortably, so this pot ends up becoming a limped pot all the way around. And I end up checking my option with ace-6 off. I check, and Paul decides he's starting to get a little frisky now, and he bets with 9-7 off. Steve calls, and it folds back to me, and I call a top pair out of position. And the turn comes a 6, give me 2 pair. I check and flow, and it seems like Paul wants to keep betting. He makes it 20, I believe, eventually. And then Steve goes ahead and calls again with his straight draw. And I call with top 2, of course. And the river completes the flush with a 10 of hearts. So it's a pretty bad card for me. So I'm gonna check call mode. One of these guys could have a flush draw. I check. Paul bets, Steve fold, and I snap it off. And before I even put money in, Paul is saying, "You're good, man. You're good." And I show 2 pairs. He's like, "Oh, 1 pair's good." And that's yeah, that was a nice little hand there. And that was the last hand, only down 140. And that about wraps it up. I appreciate you guys lasting this long and watching the vlog. I should be back at Bestbet on August 5th for my 3rd live stream session. Hope you guys will stay tuned for that one. Please put some comments down below how I can improve my game. Also, like the video if you can. Just one other note, I was one of the few players wearing a mask at Bestbet live playing, and I know COVID cases are going up around here. I know firsthand, I work in the ICU, so you know, this virus can hit anybody, no matter what your age is, whether you have pre-existing conditions or not. So just try to be as safe as possible, be kind to one another, and we'll make it through. Alright guys, cheers.